I've stitched the first line on our French seam at 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to turn this. My second line of stitching will enclose that seam allowance all down the side. Let me turn it and show you how that's going to work. You have to help it out a little, it's bulky. As I turn it, I'm going to kind of work those edges to kind of just to make it behave. Okay, here's my seam, and you can see the Insulated came right up to that seam. But I'm going to fold it along that seam line. Then I'm going to stitch 3/8 of an inch away from that. Also, I'm going to make the first line of stitching on the bottom. Once I get that stitched, I'm going to come across here, stitch in it on this one 1/2 inch, double stitch it, and overcast it. If you look on the inside of, this is your outside of the bag. There's some stray seams coming, threads coming through. I'll clean that up when I make my final turn on the bag. Okay, so that was, I did it at about 1/2 inch. I also stitched across the bottom 2 times for strength. Then I overcast. Again, this is a very ravelly but neat Ossenberg, so it ravels a lot, and I overcast the edges. Now I'm going to put the bottom seam in, take my bag on its edge, and try to put your French seam down the middle, help it out. I'm going to put a little crease in that. It works fairly easily. Usually the French seam wants to lay in one particular direction. I find out how it wants to go, and I let it do that. This one wants to go toward my right, so I'm going to have the center seam go in the opposite direction. So when I'm going to stitch across here. When I make this seam, I don't want 2 big layers with all that Insulated in it. But looks like little ears coming up, and I'm going to double check to make sure I've got it in the middle. It looks like it is. Let's see. So I've got 1, 2, 3.5 plus over here 1, 2. It's not quite in the middle. This seems to go a little more toward here. Okay, that's good. I'm going to mark my seam. If you've got one of these rulers with the 45-degree mark on it, that helps a lot. I'm going to put the 45-degree line on this slanted edge, and I'm going to make, let's see, I want it this way. I'm going to make my bag roughly 4 inches wide. Actually, that's exact. What's more important than your 4-inch measurement here is the idea of this seam being perpendicular to the center seam. That's what you need for it to stand upright and not look like the Tower of Pisa. So I'm going to mark this over, and then I'm going to take it to the machine and stitch it. I will stitch it, stitch across, overcast, and trim. This is the completed bottom of the bag. All seams are double stitched and overcast. I've trimmed the sides. You don't have to trim the ears off, but your bag will stand upright better if you do, because the little ears get in the way of the bottle. It gets unsteady. I've attached the straps the way I marked it. I've just laid the bag flat and found the middle between this crease over here and the side seam. That's where I put the handles, one on either side. Do run your hands along the straps to make sure you don't have a twist in them. I've done that. It's really easy to get them messed up. But to attach, I'm going to leave the bag wrong side out. Just like open it up like so. Put your little strap in there and stitch around it. I like to do a square or rectangle and then go along the diagonals. You'll have to double stitch at least one of these. If you start on the square, you can go around the square, go across on the diagonal, come back on the top edge, and then finish with the other diagonal. This is a nice secure attachment. Turn your bag, trim any threads in that side seam, and we are finished.